Hi everybody, hope you're doing well. This exercise is to gain experience in setting up users and roles within the Glassfish environment to restrict areas of web applications to users with appropriate access. This is useful in implementing the security features uh, for the SAN. We'll be building a simple web application which will enable authentication to the users to access restricted pages of the application. In particular, the application will provide support for defining which pages need proper authentication and which roles are required to access the said resources. In this, the first step that we're going to do is to create a dedicated web server. So open NetBeans, go to services, look in web servers, create a web server and call it as Glassfish server security and the next and call it as security domain, or you can give any domain as you like. This is like the domain name. So finish. It will take a while to create the server. Meanwhile, we need to create a database. We need to create the database because we will be accessing the user credentials for the form-based authentication via the local database. It's like in the database, sorry, in the database you have a user table which has got the user ID and its password stored in a local database. Now, the purpose of doing this exercise is the Glassfish server, the form-based authentication, will take care of connecting to the local database and checking the user credentials. So our Glassfish server has started, yes, and we'll create a local database using JavaDB. So let's call it as secure DB, and if you want to give a username, let's call it as you can give any name, any username and password for the database. Let's call it as secure, and the password is this is very much case sensitive, so make sure you use the correct case. Retype the password. So our database name is securedb. The username for the database is secure, lowercase, and same with the password. Say OK. You may see the database has started and it is connected to the port 1527. You can see our secure database created. Yeah, secure DB created, should be here somewhere. Yeah, this one, and this is the link for the secure DB JDBC link. So we connect to this and we see this is secure, and there are right now no tables inside it. That's all right. After this, we need to create a simple web application. create a new project, a web application, and let's call it as JEE security. Yep. So store it in any project location that you want. Next, the server that we created was Java Glassfish security. We are running our app on Glassfish security, and the context path will be the project name. So say next. Choose the correct framework. For us it is Java Server Basis. It takes a while to recognize. Alright. Once this is created, I have the files ready. I'll just copy it and then I'll explain it to you. I'll delete this introduction file and copy it and paste it inside. So anything placed under web pages or other web resources that your application can access. Now we created a folder called admin, and we are going to make the resources placed under the directory of web resources and subdirectory admin as secure. That means any file present under this directory are secure. We need to do some configuration changes in order to make the folder secure. We'll be doing that in coming steps. The point is, when this application runs, this index file would run. This index file simple has a link to admin/index.xhtml. The resource that it is looking for is index.xhtml, and the file present inside this, the resource that it is looking is admin area secure. This is what it is looking for. Now you can have multiple files inside admin, and from here onwards you can do navigations accordingly. My point is to show a simple form-based authentication in which if an admin user logs in with proper user ID and credentials, he should be able to access this file. If he is unable to log in properly, he will be taken over to a file which says authentication error. Now you must be wondering about what is this login.xhtml. This is where the server calls in order to make a form-based authentication. We'll learn about this more in the coming steps. Let's go back to where we left. So this is our web application. This is our server, and this is our database. Now start the server. In order to configure the form-based authentication in the Glassfish server, you need to first start the server and then make the changes. So we can see in the server logs, server is getting started. takes a while. So right now we can see the server has started when you see this green triangle. Now right click on this and say view domain admin console. When this page is running, you cannot start another Glassfish server, neither you can and one more important thing about this is when you make changes to this, it takes a while to store the changes. So the better way is, like, when you make changes to this, make sure you save the changes and restart the server. So the first thing that we're going to do here is go to configurations, server config, click on server config. You may expand the list and click on security. This is where you enable all your security features. So make sure you have default principal to role mapping enabled. This is to map the role of different security roles to the database or the application deployment. We need to select a proper realm, but right now we haven't created it. We need to create it first. So save it, expand security, look it in the realms. You'll have by default 3 realms. This file realm is where you store the user and the password details in a file server or using the file realm. But for our purpose, we need to connect or validate through a local database. So what we do is create a new realm. You can give it as any name. Call it as JDBC JEE security. This is just a name of a realm that you're creating, or call it as JDBC underscore security. And important part is you choose the class name to JDBC realm. The realm that you're creating is an instance of a class name JDBC realm. So your JAAS context should be JDBC REALM. You can write any name here, but this has to be JDBC REALM. You cannot make any changes here because this is the context that you're using. JNDI name, let's call it as JDBC slash, let's see what is the name of the database that you have. SecuredDB, SECURED underscore DB. So call it as secure underscore DB. So this is your JNDI name. Remember, this JNDI name starts with JDBC slash your database name. We'll have to create a JNDI name, and we need to map this particular name to the database that we created. This right now doesn't make any sense. It will make sense when we create a JDBC connections. So let's call it as for the user table, let's call it as users. We need to create a table in our SecuredDB called users, and the user column name as user username. Password column name is the column of the user table where password is stored, that is password. Now the trick here is the group table and the group names. These groups refer to different kinds of users. Like in a library application, you can have different roles of users, such as a student, or it can be a librarian. In a car sales system, you can have different roles of the users. One can be a salesperson, another can be a customer. So the place where different users are mapped to different role is stored in group table. Now this group table can also be same as that of the user table, and it can be different. I'll show you an instance. If you see here the groups admin, this is the group name, the username, and which group it belongs to. You can keep it this way, or you can add another column to the user, calling it as user type. I will be for the convenience of the people who have decided to create just one user table with a separate column name called user type. I will demonstrate it. So the group table name is users, and the group name column that contains the list of group names is user type. Now it could have been groups, I don't know why my O is not working, cap O is not working. Anyway, it can be groups and the column name of group table, but I'm having a table called users, and the column that differentiates different users is the column user type. So let me say the group table here is users. The password encryption method, in this case it is SHA-256. This is to make sure your password which is stored in the database is in encrypted format. This is important because this is like admin, and this is the SHA-256 encryption for the string admin. This is important because this hash strings, they are one way encrypted. That means you cannot decrypt it, or it is very difficult to decrypt it. So what we achieve by doing this is, if there are different kinds of application managers, like somebody might be looking into the front end, somebody might be looking into the database part. The one who is looking at the database part, he may have access to the tables user. So if he looks into the user table and the password is not encrypted, he can see the username and the password. So if he can see the username and password, he can try to access the information regarding an user, and which is a flaw in security. To keep up with this, you have the password of the user encrypted from the application developers or the database managers. Going back to our configuration, after we are done with this, this is where we created the new realm. The realm name is JDBC underscore security, and the JAAS context is JDBC realm. Click OK. It's on the right hand side corner. Save the new realm. Once you see JDBC underscore security realm present, sometimes it takes time to reflect on this. So just give it a time, or you need to restart the machine. But we have got another configuration to make. Remember, in this JDBC security, we use JDBC / secure underscore DB. This is the name of our database, and we use JDBC /. In order to use this JNDI name, we need to create two specific resources. One is a JDBC connection pool, and another is JDBC resources. This JDBC resources contains the JNDI name, which looks for the information to connect to the particular database found in a connection pool. So we need to create a connection pool first. Click on this. In JDBC connection pool, create new. Let's say it is JEE security, and the resource type is Java SQL data source, and you don't need a driver vendor or something. You can click next. In this, you need to provide information about the data source class name and the driver name information. This has to be very much particular and has to match with the exactly what I write it here. So it should be org.apache.derby.jdbc.client data source. Once this is done, you can say finish. You may see your JEE security pool is created. Now open this pool and go to additional properties and configure this pool. You need to add 7 properties. These 7 properties will tell what resources, what URL, what database name that this pool connects to. The spelling has to match with the case. Attributes should be URL. The second attribute is driver class. Third attribute is password. Fourth attribute is port number. Mark the case, uppercase and lowercase, it has to be same. The fifth attribute is database name. Sixth attribute is user. Seventh is server name. So these all values you'll get it from the database that you created. So this was the link. So right click, go properties, you get it from here. So what is the database URL name? So this is the URL name. same as this, right? This is the URL name. So copy this part, so close, and click on this URL, paste it over here. Now what is the driver class? So the driver class is written here. Like if you have connected to different kinds of databases, if you're connected to an Oracle database or a MySQL database, the driver class would differ. So this is the driver class. The password was secured with all small. The port number is 1527. This is the port number to this server. So we write here as 1527. The database name is securedb. Write it over here. The user is again secure, and the server name is localhost. Save this information. Once this full information is saved, go to JDBC resources, create a JDBC resource, and the changer name should be JDBC slash secure underscore DB. This is same as that of what we mentioned it in the realm that we created. The JEE security realm that we created, it should be the same. And the pool to which it connects to is JEE security. And now after doing this, save this. So you'll see this JNDI name created. This JNDI name is in the realms. JDBC security should be the same as that of this. So once this is done, your server side configuration have been done, but you cannot see the JEE security or the JDBC security realm being present here. So just restart the server. Restart the server. Close this and close this. Restart the server. Make sure the changes are updated. So once the server is updated, say view admin domain console. Now if you look in security realms, it is updated. You can see it over here. So click on security. Default role mapping is done, and the default realm, change it to JDBC security, save it, and as I told you, every time you make changes in here, you need to restart your server. So I close this and I restart my server. Meanwhile, my server is shut down or restart it, I'll make know about other important things that you need to make changes in your web project to make the user authentication work. That is, you need to configure your security rules, you need to configure your URLs, you need to configure your administrator constraints and related things. So open web XML. Either you can write things over here, or you can use the above tabs and make changes in the form and save it. There's nothing much in servlets and this. Here you can have it as start dot xhtml comma spaces. These are the URL patterns that the spaces servlet needs to match. Save it, and then filters, no filters in pages, this is fine, and references in the pages you can add an error page. Error code is select the error file, error code is 403, say OK. In the references you don't need anything. In security, in the login configuration, make sure you choose the form based authentication, and first thing that you need to do is write the correct realm name, the realm that you created, jdbc_security. In the form login page, choose the login page. So if you're wondering about which page you need to choose, whether it's the index or the login, this refers to the page which the server will bring it up when it is undergoing an user authentication. So this is login XHTML where your Java security check is done, and the error page where the user authentication fails, it will navigate it to this page. Now sometimes this will work and sometimes that can be error. This is because this is returned from the server, so try to add spaces before it so that you won't face problem in doing this. After doing this, login configuration, add the security roles. For us it is admin, and description is administrator. Once you can create multiple security roles, like you can add security roles like salesperson and blah blah stuff. As many security roles you want to add, you can add. So these security roles refers to different secured areas, like admin. You can have salesperson folder over here. Likewise, you need to add security constraint for each security roles. So the constraint for the admin is admin constraint, and the web resource collection, resource name is admin, description is admin constraint, URL pattern is class admin comma slash spaces slash admin start. Sometimes all HTTP methods may not work, so you may select get and post. I'll tell you what is this stands for. When you created different roles, you need to mention which URL pattern or which web resources these roles can access. So the admin role can access to all resources under admin folder. Admin/star, comma, faces, admin star. You need to enable the authentication constant, call it as admin constant or whatever, and you need to allocate the roles, like which roles can access this. Once this is done, this is security constants are done, you will be able to run the program with security. One more thing here is, if you want the data to be confidential and to be transported over HTTPS protocol from 8181 port, not 8080 port, you need to enable this user data constraint and make the transport guarantee as confidential. Once you do this, we are ready to run the program. Probably we have restarted the server after making the changes. Hope so. So now it is. Let's run it. Hope it works. If it doesn't work, we need to figure out from the Java security logs what went wrong and what we need to fix. How it was successfully deployed. Fantastic. So you can see here the localhost 8080 for HTTP. Now we are trying to access administration. When we click on this, we are trying to access resource under admin, which is secure. So you can see it become HTTPS with 8181 port. Because we don't have a web certificate, we need to understand the risk and add the exceptions. Now you're displayed with the user authentication form. The username is admin, the password is admin, submit. Okay, now there is no such username or admin exists in the database because we have forgotten one thing. We have forgot to create the database. So we'll close this, and you can see the error logs cannot validate user admin for the JDB0. We'll stop the server and we need to create a table here. You remember we gave the information about the table, the column names, everything in the users. We need to create those tables inside this database. I'll use the script. Create table users, ID, primary key, username, password, and we have an additional column called user type. Let's make it as worker 150 not null. So users have username, password, and the group that contains the list of all roles is users user type. So we execute it. The table is created. Once the table is created, create a sequence for the primary key and run the sequence. After the sequence is run, enter or create an entry for the user table. So this is the username, this is the password encrypted in SHA-256 format, and the user type is admin. So we have a record over here. If you see view data, we have a record over here. Cool. Now we'll go back to the project and run it. And access administration, understand the risk. Username is admin, password is admin. Submit. Oh, it fails. We need to see why it failed. Cannot validate user admin for JDBC. So okay, in the errors, if you see, it says the reason for the connection pool, connection could not be allocated because connection authentication failure occurred. Reason, user ID or password invalid. So let's look at this. The user was secure and the password was also secure. The schema is secure. So let's go back. Glassfish server admin console. Okay, close this. In the admin console, let's look into the properties that we set for the connection pool. You can see we set the password as secured and user is secured. It is secure and secure. You can see it over here. It is secure and secure. User and password were secure and secure. So this was the reason why it failed. So let's save the information and general, save the information and home. After this, close this. What we do is when you make a changes over there, make sure you restart your server. This is because sometimes the changes are not reflected unless and until you restart it. Cool. Now you may run your app again. My Firefox stopped responding for a bit. Now if you give admin, hopefully it works this time. Oh shit, I need to see what went wrong again. JDBC run invalid user reason, failed permission check, permission web user data admin indexer HTML get. So web login failed. So when we look in the output, it says web login failed because of bundle security exception because of the JDBC run. So if you see this error, make sure you have got the types done properly. So go to the server, admin console. Look back if you have given the names properly or not. So in my realm, I have users, username, password. Okay, I was not getting the capital O correctly done. Caps lock O. So when it was trying to match for password column, it was looking for pass WRD and not word. So that's why it was having some errors. Now it should work fine, hopefully. Now because you made changes to this, what you got to do is restart your server. Once it is done, you may run the project. Sorry, my Mozilla is not responding at the moment. You can use it in any browser though. Copy it or started responding. So add exception. Hopefully this time it works. Oh, capital doesn't work. It is case sensitive. Admin submit, and it goes to your secure file. This admin area secure is your admin resources. So if you see what happened here, like if you run the program here, you have a link. You have a link in the index file that takes you to a secure location. This secure location, you have defined it in web.xml. When it tries to take you to the secure location, when you try to access the secure location, it takes you to this login form. This login form is this form, this page. This page, you have configured in your web XML saying what should be the login form which should authenticate, and in case of any error, which page it should take you. Now, when you're trying to access a secured area, it is taking you through a authentication form, and if you give incorrect username and an incorrect password, doesn't matter, any combination, if the ID or the password not matches, then it will take you to the error page, authentication error. Now if you give the correct ID and password, it will take you to the secured area. So thank you guys. Sorry, I forgot something. Now you must be wondering about what is happening in between. When this page comes, this login page comes, what is happening? This is just a form based authentication. The whole magic of Java authentication happens through this JEE security check method. This action refers to this method, right? This method is defined in your Glassfish server, and all the configurations that you did made this method work. It takes the username and your password. When you submit this form, it connects through your connection pool to your JNDI name, connects to the local database, look into the tables that you have defined in your realm and the column. Depending upon the encryption technique, it converts your password and matches your ID and password with the database, and if the authentication succeeds, it takes you to the resource in the secured area that you're looking for. If the authentication fails, it takes you to the error page. Thank you everybody for having patience and perseverance going through this whole video. I hope you will be able to do your user authentication, form based user authentication using local database. Thank you. Sunil Panda here. Have a good day.